Hello and welcome back to the final part up to now of Project Freelander. I've got other jobs I'm going to do, but this at the moment I'll now start using the car. If you've watched all the other videos, or the one video I'm going to put together as all one, the only bit I was missing was the EGR, which had been around, and I had explained, I showed a demonstration where this valve, the seat on it, if you fill that chamber up there, which is the intake, with some kind of fluid, oil, brake cleaner, it was leaking past the valve, which meant it was constantly leaking like exhaust gases into the intake constantly, hence it was all blocked up. So I wanted to eliminate this thing anyway, get it blocked off, but being in the trade myself, I know what the rules are for the MOTs. If you see something and it looks like it's been tampered with, etc, etc, it's a fail. Naturally, what a lot of people do, it only takes 5 minutes. They just pop this on for the MOT. As soon as they've had cars past the MOT, they stick something like this on. But I quite like this, so I'll get into it in a second. So obviously, as you can see, there's a vacuum pipe there, what you connect your vacuum to. Then the valve, then the intake. And obviously, when you look through it, you've got that big area there which restricts the flow. It's not huge. It's not like it's a supercar or nothing like that, but it will restrict airflow. So these are very expensive. They're like 120 quid or more for an original equipment one, and they'll do nothing but go wrong and cause you problems. So for £30, I've picked up this. So I put them side by side like that. As you can see, that's your intake. This is the intake on this one, but it isn't an intake. It's just a welded on bar, and obviously you pop I'll go back to the car. You just simply pop that, which is a solid, thick piece of metal, so it's not going to burn through. That goes into there. Well, hold on. We'll spin it round to the angle it would be at, like that. That goes into there. Excuse dropping that down. I've just used that to stop any dirt getting in. That on, intake pipe on, job done. But what I like about this one, which the other one, I had a look, there was hundreds of them online. This has got this, and you might be wondering, what's that little peg for? What does it do? Just welds on. If you look inside the pipe, it's just a pure circle pipe. Nothing goes into it, nothing comes out of it, bar straight through. And as you can see, you haven't got this big valve restricting flow. Just a nice straight through flow. But if you were to just connect this up, in the way the Freelanders are, you have a vacuum pipe, and naturally, either on that standard EGR valve, when you can just blank it off, you're not going to have a pipe connected to it. So automatically, as an MOT tester, if I've seen something like that fitted without a pipe going to it, like the vacuum pipe here, you would have to fail it. But what I like about this valve is, bearing in mind as a tester, you are not allowed to assume things. You are not allowed to technically know things, really. I know that that's a blanking item. But if I looked at that and seen I had a vacuum pipe going onto it, this here, you can turn around and say, well, how would you know there's nothing going through the centre? Well, I'll show you when it's connected up. Obviously, it's welded on, but you don't know that that tube is hollow or solid, which obviously it's solid, but you don't know that. So you can't just assume something. It's a bit like on a car. If this car had a missing wheel nut, I can see it, and I would fail it. But, for example, that car outside, actually no, I'll just go to my Amiga, even easier to explain. If this, say, I only had one wheel nut holding on, I wouldn't know, because it's covered, and I'm not allowed to take that off. Same as with that, I'm not allowed to take the wheel trim off. Same as when you've got under trays fitted underneath, so you just have to simply test as presented. So that presented to me, as long as the pipe's connected to it, which it is, as long as I can see a vacuum feed onto it, which, as you know with these systems, if you disconnect the vacuum pipe and blank it off, that stops the EGR valve from working. So this valve fitted without a vacuum pipe on, I would fail it. This, with a vacuum pipe on, with this here, you can only test as presented. I don't know if that's, like I've said, a hollow tube, solid tube, whether or not it goes straight through or not. So if you don't know, you just have either pass and advise or a straight pass, because you don't know, and you can't prove it, and you can't strip things down, and you can't do anything like that. You can't pull the pipe off and look inside. It's not part of the testing criteria. So I really do like this, hence I went for it. Good idea. I'll show you better when it's set up. Only other thing I'm going to quickly do today, spray a bit of I quite like the look of this stuff. It's like a stone chip, but it's more of a paint than a thick tarry stuff that goes underneath. Might just use two of them, keep the other two for the 406. What was I going to do? The sunroof's in a bit of a mess on this thing. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to try and get some of this moss off, but there's two areas there. Actually, there's a bit more in here. I'm just going to get some black silicone and put it underneath in case it decides to leak. I spotted that the other day. Didn't like the look of that. So I'll just pause out now. I mean, there's nothing really too much to watch. As you've seen on my previous video, it's just 4 10mm bolts, go on, pipe goes over, and you connect the Jubilee clip on the pipe. I may show it when I'm halfway through fitting to show, but I find it difficult to kind of record when I'm working because, as you can see, it's down here, there's pipes everywhere, I can't get a good angle. So I'll come back to you as soon as I've got most of it built up. Right then, so there we go, that's it fitted. Bit more fiddly than I thought, because with this pipe being like a spring-loaded pipe, getting these, just make sure you don't cross thread these that go into the manifold, or you'll have in a huge world of pain when that happens. So what I found was easier is to get one in, pull the unit over, and as you're pulling it over with the actual blank into the end of the pipe, it kind of compresses the pipe. But just make sure when you can get them all in before you nip any of them up. As you'll find, if you get one in here, you'll struggle to get that one. And obviously make sure that your compression ring is nice and firm and secure, which it is. So I'm really impressed with this. Mainly, more than anything else, it's got this pipe on. Like I've mentioned, if this car's in for MOT and I see that pipe connected to it, you can't see this bit here because that's got to go on it. So what I'll do is I'll put that pipe network back on and we'll see what we can actually see how it looks. All I've got to do now is I've tightened these 4 up, put the pipe on, new piece of pipe. To tell you the truth, that pipe goes nowhere. It's just tied up underneath, nice and secure though. And the main one, because it's right awkward to get, I'll see if I can get the light, is I was going to replace the pipe which goes to the solenoid. That's a solenoid right down there, the 2 pipes. The braided piece, the other piece is the new piece which had been rubbed through. The braided piece is the piece that used to go to the EGR, but on my previous video you've seen I've blanked that off with a piece of pipe inside of it. So that's tied away nicely out the way. That looks as it should. And we'll have a look, we'll see what it looks like when everything's built up, because I'm just about there now. I'm going to do the oil and filter, but I need to run it up to temperature first, so I need all this back together. And like I've said, the sunroof and spray a bit of stuff underneath, which I'm not really going to record doing because it'll get all over my phone. Right, so there we go, all built up. Believe it or not, the most awkward pipe was this old piece. Like I've mentioned in the past, this car's had the upgraded silicone pipes on here and here. But this thing here is just absolute rubbish. If the car's, to be honest, I haven't even driven the car yet. I'm going against every rule I would tell everybody to do. I just know the car, we've serviced it for a lot of years. But I've not even driven it, so until I start spending any more money, drive it first. But that'll be getting replaced by some kind of silicone pipe or something alike, because that's just rubbish. But it does for now, it's on. So as you can see, it's all built up. And that EGR valve there looks perfect. With that pipe going to it, I would have absolutely no reason to doubt that. At the end of the day, it looks like the valve, it goes on. Fair enough, there's not a diaphragm on, but at the end of the day, there's a pipe going to it. It doesn't necessarily stand out. And then if you get down the back here, if you can see it's connected up. It's not like there's like a blanking plate or nothing. There is, like you say, we've seen that. We know it's a solid piece of pipe, but you can't just assume that it is. It could have a straight through into it. Best you can do. At the end of the day, you've just got to be vigilant with things like this. It's at your own risk, as I'm stating. It's for off-road use only. You know, I'm just keeping things right, but you'll be fine 9 times out of 10 unless you get somebody really picky. But there we go. All I need to do now is give it a start, which I'm going to do in a bit because I've got a few jobs to do underneath. I've just been up on the roof there and just put a bead of silicone inside of where the rubber started to lift. There's a big bit there and a bit over there. In fact, I just got a pick and put the silicone, it's an RTV, underneath and just went all the way around. So even the bits like so here, you can see, if you can see in it, when I push it down, see there's silicone in there. It's just a bodge job. The right way to do it is to take it out, but so I've been told. These are an absolute nightmare, these sunroofs, so I'm going to find the plug. It works, it pops up and everything, but I'm going to find the plug for it disconnected. If it does start to leak, I'll be flipping going all the way around here with some black silicone as well. Not that anybody sees on the roof, it's full of moss anyways, it needs cleaned, but I don't think there's leaks, but there's somebody been putting some kind of silicone on the inside of the sunroof. As well, I need to monitor these. I think it's going to need new window seals. I think like the metal inside these window rubbers is getting perished or something like that, but I'm going to try and get some second-hand ones of them from the scrapyard. Both sides are the same, and probably when I get around to it, a mirror for this side. These are electric folding mirrors on this car, so I may have a bit of difficulty finding some, but it's taped on, but it seems awfully strong, so I don't know what. I don't really want to take it off yet to find out it drops off, but I had nothing to do with that tape going on there. I don't know what's happened and why it's on. Obviously it's been hit, but I just don't know to what degree it's damaged, so I'll be leaving that for now. So like I've said, the only other thing I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to spray a couple of cans of these underneath, and the rest of it's just my kind of stuff, cleaning the windows on the inside because I'm minging for seeing where I'm going when I'm driving it, etc, etc. But I'll be on with another video when I do anything more to this car. At the minute it's already added up to nearly half an hour, so I apologise if you're bored with it. If it's not your cup of tea, don't watch it. So thanks for watching. If you like it, like, comment, subscribe. If you've got anything you want to say about it, leave a comment. But like I mentioned in my previous video, if you've got nothing positive to say, don't waste your time, because I'm not going to waste my time replying back to negative comments. I'm not an enthusiast. I'm not even the biggest fan of Land Rover, to be quite honest. You know, but it is what it is. I got the car cheap. It's a usable car. I know its history. It's had all the expensive work done to it. It's got the BMW engine in, which I like for what I need it for. So, you know, if you've got anything, constructive, I'm quite happy to explain.